Hi, my name is Irfan Ali. I work as an accessibility engineer, and today I want to talk about the accessibility, principles. So people think that, and this is the general perception, they think that YCAG itself is enough to make any site, website accessible, which is not true. So I want to talk about some other perspective as well. I think the usability and user interface design is equally important to make any site accessible. Today, I will talk about some of the the basic guidelines for the designers that they should always keep in mind, and that can help to make any website accessible. So to create an optimally accessible experience, you should start early, ideally in the application, when you design. So in this user interface and content design process. So here are some basic guidelines for every designer. So when you create, the very first thing that designers do, they create a wireframe, and where they arrange the information, the content, and they see that how we are going to place this information on the page. So the very first thing that the user interface designer should think about, they should plan heading and semantic structure early, and they should ensure that all content and design fits into a logical heading or region structure. The second very important thing is you should always consider the reading order. So the reading order should be the same as the visual order. So when you see a website, so you scan it from left to right and then bottom, and there is a particular order that you follow. So screen reader should follow the same order of the content. So for that, you need to create a proper design. Now, the another point which is very important is the understanding the challenges of navigating known visually. So you need to ensure the structure support efficient navigation between the critical areas which a user may have to refer to in order to complete. So this is another important area that every user interface designer should think about it. One of the most important feature, and I won't say feature, but the point that a user interface designer should remember, they should provide the good contrast. So especially for low vision users, so you need to be especially careful with light shades of gray, orange, and yellow, and ensure that selected color meet the ratio mandated by the YCAG guidelines. For that, I would suggest you to check the document on W3C organizations, and you can check the visual audio contrast document there. Another point which is very important, you need to avoid images of text. So most of the designer, what do they do to make it look beautiful or give it an artistic look? They create a lot of images of the graphics, even though it can be done by using the CSS and just the system font or any other font. So to use actual text rather than an image of text, it enlarges better, loads faster, and easier to translate. If you want to give it any style, give it to like any style to it, I would strongly suggest to use the CSS, because by CSS you can give it any design and you can make it more beautiful. Another point is you need to be cautious when using capital letters. So the reason is simple, because all caps can be difficult to read for some users and can be presented incorrectly by some screen readers. Another, when we are talking about the text and everything, so you need to use adequate font size and remember line length. The another important point is you need to make sure the links are recognizable. So differentiate links in the body of the page with underlines or something other than color alone. All those links that are present on the page should be well visible, and they should be defined as a link. They should be easily recognizable. The another thing, the focus indicator. So you need to ensure that interactive controls such as buttons and links have a focus ring. So for the low vision user, you need to make sure that you provide a focus ring when you develop a markup. So sighted keyboard users rely on focus indicators to identify location. So never consider a design where you disabled and default focus indicator. So for example, if you are a keyboard user and you are navigating your navigation, links, buttons, or all the controls, focusable controls that you have on your screen, and you are using your tab to navigate it, make sure that the user is comfortable to identify where the focus is. And for that, you need to provide a nice, well visible focus ring. Now, when we talk about the markup of the page and the structure of the page, you need to design a skip to main content link. You need to place a keyboard accessible link for users to skip navigation at the top of the page, because sometimes users just do not want to navigate all the navigation and want to go to the main content area because user is already aware of the navigation and everything. Or on the flip side, you could provide the region. So you could provide the navigation region, the main region, and if user wants to go to the main region, he could simply, he or she, the user can skip the navigation region and can go to the main region to see the content. Another important point is do not convey content with color alone. Some users cannot distinguish colors or may override page colors. Remember that. This is very, very, very important. Now, another important point is the design accessible form control. So you need to ensure that form controls have descriptive labels, instructions, and validation or error messages. And this is one of the most complex part of creating a website. For example, you are creating a registration system for the user, and you have tons of form element like first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, city, address, or blah blah blah. Now you need to provide a clear label to each and every form field. Also, you may need to provide some instructions for some of the user, and just think about that perspective that you can't see what is there on the screen. So some users, they are totally depend upon the assistive technology, and if they are using any screen reader should be able to explain it very clearly to the user that what kind of information this form required, which is very, very important. You should also make sure that if user is having any error or if there is any specific information related to that particular form which is a dynamic. So for example, you are submitting a form and you have missed an important field and there is an error displayed on the page. That should be properly announced by screen reader, so the user would know that what information he's missing. So these are some important points for user interface designer. I would talk about responsive design a little bit. However, I understand that this is a complex topic it may need more time to talk about, but just on the very high level, we need to ensure that you provide a design to accommodate content in a responsive layout so that a user who needs to enlarge text on the page can do so without having to scroll horizontally to read the end of each line. So these are some important points for user interface designer, and these are very important actually in terms of achieving the accessibility goal or building an accessibility website 100%. So in this video for today, I think I just wanted to talk about some points for user interface designer. In my next video, I will talk about some of the technical challenges and accessibility tips for developers who actually develop the websites. So till then, if you have any question or you want to make any comment, please write your comment here. I'll be happy to have your feedback, and I'll be happy to answer if you have any question. For next video, like I said, I'll talk about some technical challenges that developers have, or I'll talk about some tips for the developers, and then we will take it from there. So this was my first video. I hope you like it, or if you have any question or if you have any comment, feel free to do so. I'll be happy to see your feedback. I thank you very much and hope you have a good time. Thank you.